This is just game 1 of 3 games today. It will go quick if you blink. So it's very, very important to get off to a hot start because you won't have the later half of the day to catch up and make up that pace that you might have lost along the way. So looking at teams like Malibuca, Merstach, Queasy, and Thomas that you would think have already had their grand final spot at this stage in the game now have to put it all on the line and the last chance to go through in the upper bracket.
Merstach, Malibuca, constant contestation here at Grim Gate. I mean, being the most popular POI with that dash medallion. It's a difficult one to come out of, but you said it yourself. Our champions from the previous major, they've won the chest up top, which is the best starting position for this drop spot. Now, going into this match, it looked like there was going to be 4 duos contesting, so it looks like 2 of them have backed off, whereas the duo that's contesting Thomas HD and Queasy is still there, which I believe is Ice and Doom. So we'll have to see how they're able to do. It's only 3 matches, Jacob, so you don't get as many opportunities to get that solid game and boost yourself up the leaderboard.
Yeah, just how easy it is to have that good game and you have less and less pressure on you. If you have that slip up, that bad game here in game 1, it puts a ton of pressure on you to try to perform. As Trulex Chicho thought they had their surge plan down packed yesterday, but a couple of games that slipped through their hands, weren't able to really capitalize. Uncontested at Restored Reels. Now a full change-up. Now they're going to be contested straight out of the gates from Restored Reels. And there's another team on the outskirts. You know as well as I do, the longer a fight like this takes, the more chances that team is going to rotate on over and try to get some Storm Surge.
And you really do not want to get eliminated right off the start. I remember Merstach, Malibuca got eliminated off spawn, I believe the first 3 matches basically, and they qualified in just 1 match, but it was the last match of the day where they got top 3. So now with only 3 chances, you want to maximize every single game you play here. Seeing that Trulex has already been cracked. Chicho down to 20 shield. Has another bush bomb, but with his duo partner gone down now, both players incredibly healthy. This is going to be almost impossible for Chicho to come out on top. But the third party from Giros and Cherry, they might just be able to clean it up.
Yeah, they were just kind of waiting in the wings. They landed on that island just towards the outside. They took steps each and every time they heard shots and they heard that battle going on, using it as a distraction to close the distance. And now they're trying to capitalize on some great shots, dropping him down to just about 40 HP. And now he's just going to advance onto another angle. And that's the quick thinking from a team like this, to just not let that early damage go to waste. Charge is getting damaged up himself, trying to regenerate that health. They know they have a massive advantage in this fight, positioning, health, shots. And if they just could keep this pressure up, they'll be in good standing. But no, everything comes crumbling down. They got separated, Takata.
Giros gets knocked. What just went wrong? From having the advantage in the third party of the 2v2, but now it looks like the pressure's on.
Yeah, it's just one of those things to where it just looks like it's going right. You third party, you know they're already weak. And then it started off with great shots being landed. Unfortunately enough, they took 2 different angles. They tried to react quick, but just wasn't quick enough. Converged on the 2v1. Now Chari's stuck in a spot because now he has to try to backtrack into the original team he ran from, because there's a 4th party and even a 5th party in the distance. And now he has his work cut out for him. That's Cade and Deox on the other side trying to get in with the chain of Hades. And we've seen this happen almost all day yesterday. Another elimination from the chain of Hades.
They're not done yet, though. Look at the mini-map bottom right. 2 little players taking a peek. It's Howley. It's Nefrizzy. If they can get this initial shot off the beam, the 3-2-1, it could permit them to get right into the action. We saw how difficult it's been to manage Storm Surge throughout these semifinals. This damage is crucial. And when you have an opportunity like this, you don't want to let it go to waste.
And that original team that was kind of over in this direction, they got that 1 elimination on Trulex, and they completely got out of there unscathed. Don't want to kind of take any risks that they don't have to. Howley and Nefrizzy just trying to get some damage through. It's a fight that they know started not too long before they entered this mix. So depending on what the loot is looking like, and if they know it, they have a great advantage in terms of HP. You can see the inventory. They have more builds. It's all about finding that confidence to push in a fight that you know started long ago. But Howley immediately gets dunked on, pushed down low to low ground, and separated from Nefrizzy.
Cade has been knocked, though. Diox now forced in the 1v2. He has to apply pressure as he knows that Howley's healing up. Huge shot gets connected. as Diox now might just be able to turn this around. Chug Splashes, though, are in the inventory of the opponent's Legendary Banana. The more time Diox waits, the harder it's going to be.
Yeah, great shots trying to battle back from the defensive end, but in Frizzy Howley, they regrouped, they healed up, and now they're trying to go on the offensive yet again, and that numbers game too strong. The third party becomes the third party, and I don't know if this is a rerun that we're seeing, but there's another third party moving in to restore
You thought we were done. We are not done yet, Jacob. From the same hill. Another duo looking to see what they can do. Let's take a look, though. Back at Fencing Fields, one of the most popular spots we've seen for Surge bases around this area of the map. A bit more centered.
Ooh, this is a good bait. How is he crouched so low? He's just like...
Is he camouflaged into the rug? I mean, he's just similar.
Super crouched right now. Under the chest, like under the couch. Yeah. You try to look under your couch for some socks that you left under there, and there's the bag. Exactly. They just take him out, put aside. Never saw it coming. Lens, Tidy just take complete advantage. Didn't know that they were hiding behind the chest, and that was great awareness. That was great thinking from them. It works once, right? But that will not work again in games 2 and 3 at Fencing Field.
The good news is for them, it's only 3 games, Jacob. All you need is for it to work once in one solid game. Remember, it's top 25. You have to do better than 50% of the players competing here today. So one good game could almost be enough to guarantee your qual to the grand finals. Scrapped Skrill. Also choosing to play aggressive here.
Yeah, it's a team that is not afraid to get scrappy in a lot of these fights. He's just trying to go in. Really not thinking twice about what will happen if things go wrong, because he's only thinking about the success. Glubshy is now on the run, about 50 HP, if that, and just getting attacked from multiple angles. Skrill just taking the ladder and finally gets that last elimination. It's just too much for just one player to overcome. He didn't really have space in those builds for him to just bob and weave in and out of those builds, and it's just that onslaught of aggressiveness was just too much.
Pixie and Juan here. A lot calmer on this side of the map so far. Could be from that elimination that Pixie has. 6 splashes, Flowberry Fizz. As the Flowberry Fizz is basically the main item in terms of rotation this season. Being so easy to find compared to other ones like dashes, medallions, etc. And giving you that momentum boost. So it's a basically must-have in all of these matches. We'll take a look at Cringe and Noms now. Mini was breaking them down earlier. They've been performing well, Jacob, and with these eliminations already starting it off, hopefully we'll see a continuation of that.
Yeah, a team that started day 1 in the lower bracket. They've earned their spot in day 2 in the upper bracket. Things still didn't go their way in terms of getting that game win, but they locked in another upper bracket spot. And if you're going to start anywhere on the day, you obviously want to start in this upper bracket round 3. You get 25 spots in the first half, and if you manage to go to the lower bracket, there's still 15 more spots up for grabs. So they're definitely on the track to success as we tune into Malibuca and Merstach, still over at Grim Greats throughout all this time. And you can see how they picked up their first elimination.
A lot of opportunities, like you said, Jacob, to make it to Grands here. Malibuca Merstach. Looks like it wasn't right off the start, but they were eventually able to claim the Grim Gate with that elimination. As more and more duos kind of that dropped in the surrounding area get closer to the POI and say, is there any kind of leftovers there? Is there a battle still going on? It's very important to keep an eye on the feed when you're competing in these lobbies, especially if you've put in the work beforehand to see what duos are in the surrounding area to you, and based on the elimination feed, kind of make some decisions on that information.
I must want to imagine that they were able to get the coin. But you can see the Chain of Hades in another loadout here today. It's kind of like the go-to for some of these players. And yep, it's going to be Merstach. And Merstach is the player that's kind of been carrying it for this team a lot of the time. Both the medallion that they switch back and forth with and that mythic Gatekeeper shotgun. Known to be a little bit more of the aggressor, especially in that last season, pushing that team on out. And it does look like both of the teams that actually contested Grim Gates are going to choose to try to survive for just a little bit longer.
It just kind of shows how formats can change play style. The good news is all the players competing here in the upper bracket will have a second chance, even if they don't qualify. That we'll see today as well. It's 6 total matches today, not 5 like the previous days. But it's kind of like 2 mini tournaments. 1 here, 3 matches of the upper bracket. And the 25 duos that don't qualify will be joined by the other 25 duos who are currently waiting right now, hopefully watching these matches or studying for the upper bracket players to join them. And then in that, only 15 duos qualify, so it's a bit more difficult. Less spots available.
See Andalex and Sato. This is a team that throughout the day yesterday, we were kind of blessed enough to kind of see them progress, see them adapt on the fly. They started day 1 in the lower bracket. They used that as fuel to their fire. They advanced to the upper bracket and just progressing every step of the way. Frisk and Skvi just underneath the underworld, just trying to go ahead and fight. There is a bunker over in this direction, so you can see the purpose. You can see what the focus is going to be for this fight, whether you win or lose. Don't want to get stuck in that bunker with no exit.
Box fights coming through here. Not in zone yet, but they're not too far either. River sticks close by. They can get those dashes. Don't have to focus too much on the rotation here. More focus on staying up, getting damage, potentially some eliminations. They're healthy with the chug splashes and flowberry, but you kind of want to conserve as much as possible here as we get closer and closer to the later section of the mid game. Third parties in the surrounding area as well. You have to be aware. You have to be cautious of your surroundings here, especially when you're looking at these box fights. The zone now closing. Pressure continues. No big shots connected yet, though.
Yeah, it's Chexy and Vispin that's just waiting. You talked about the feed and the information that you're gathering. As soon as somebody gets knocked in a fight like this, they're going to continue to play just a little bit more aggressive or just slide their way in. Found a little nook and a little cranny to slide in, land that monster of a shot, let his opponents know exactly where they're coming from. And a fourth party now coming in, and the rest of the players toward the north side of the map. You see them rotating through the underworld, using them dashes. That makes this more of a dangerous, more of a risky situation. While all this is going down, the bunker had opened up. Nobody has entered into that bunker yet, so I would love to see one of those teams in the minimap just kind of steal away the loot that caused all this fight.
There's so many duos in the surrounding area, though, with another one even close by. It's going to be risky. It's going to be dangerous. But like you said, so much potential loot to be had. Chexy now secured that elimination as the finish goes down. The knock. Still kind of hunting around for it. Or are they just going directly to the... No, they're definitely looking for the loot.
I mean, it's what they came for. It's what they fought for. It almost looks like this bunker is going to go through unnoticed. The thing that caused the entire fight and all this chaos, and you can see they're finally getting closer and closer to finding the loot.
They can't find it.
Still can't get it just yet, and he's still alive. I think there's still a solo alive in that mix. He's going to give his position away eventually. Down on HP, forced to use his splashes, but a great shot to try to fire back, and this is certainly a winnable situation, especially what we've seen so far. The first knock is going to come through from the Buell. Gobot cannot clean that one up just yet. He can't take advantage of the loot. Thinks it's just a little bit too risky to try to survive, but instead he's going to backtrack for the vault in which we were talking about, finally going inside to try to see what's left.
Just minis from what I can see here. 10 bandages is what he's going to have to use to stay up. Luckily, though, with that elimination, looking healthy on Storm Surge, but look at this, Turtle and his duo. This could be brutal.
Oh, did he see him pick it through the cone? Well, it doesn't matter now because they're going to just go ahead, whether they saw him or not, finish the fight, box him up.
Good night.
Shipped him back to the lobby, first class.
I want a first class ticket like that. That was quick. Fist spin now. Attempting to get the reboot. Does he have time? I do not think so. Potential dashes, though, as now he goes directly for the engagement. Not even going to go for the pickup on his teammate Turtle, though. 2 clean shots to send him back to his duo.
Yeah, Vispin was doing a good job, and not just this fight, the other one before, just landing that first shot. Really kind of let your presence be known in that fight, but Turtle did not back down. Had the double edit, the double shot with the gatekeeper, make it look easy. Kiro and Mappy rotating through. You see Storm Surge right now, 72 players still left alive, which lead you to believe Storm Surge, just like yesterday, is going to activate just a little bit sooner than we have seen in the qualifiers, but not necessarily by much. So Veno was right in that interview, just showing that Storm Surge is king. You have to be able to prepare ahead, whether you're in the middle of the zone or the edge of zone like we're seeing Harris and Svi do. Storm Surge is the key to unlocking that end game.
Easier said than done, though, Jacob. Easier said than done. We've seen it reflected on the playstyle of a lot of these duos here, forced to have multiple options to get that damage done. You can see it. A lot of the duos here are on edge of zone now. They have to make a rotate, but at the same time, they know, so do the players in the surrounding area, and they want to do so without using too many shields or materials. Thomas and Queasy, though, no elims on the board, and choosing to do more of a slower rotate. So I'm curious on how they got that damage. They were contested at Mount Olympus, so they must have kind of taken some shots back and forth. Now going to choose the Flowberry plus Launchpad to get as much distance as possible.
They can even try to go Launchpad to Launchpad if they kind of time it and do it right. This was one of the things kind of watching their games back yesterday after the day was over. The good games that they had, the zone was close to Mount Olympus, not a ton of rotation to do, but those games where they have to travel all the way across the map, and then a lack of mobility in this season, and then still having to worry about Surge, because even though it is contested, there's no real shields. You spawn with 100 HP, and so there's not a lot of Surge to be found over towards Mount Olympus unless you stagger yourself so far deep into zone. So Queasy and Thomas, they're probably going to look to do one, two things here, get a great position in the zone, and then start to worry about Surge. Otherwise, they're going to be forced to try to go box to box to try to get it elsewhere.
Back at Fencing Fields, I see 5-6 duos now, still to make it into zone. One of them kind of looking back and holding them. You can hear that noise. It's the reboot van trying to be used here, but it's not going to be so easy. Looks like they might have just done it. Will they be able to fly on in, though? Or are they going to get annihilated out of the sky? It's going to be a blessing, a miracle to make it out of this one, but they might have just done it. Coin somehow lands without getting knocked down, now forced to try and save his teammate.
Yeah, it was just kind of a little bit of a trade. Coin survived, but his teammate didn't survive on that reboot afterwards. So it's one of those things where you tell your teammate, you better perform. You better get some points in this one. I just sacrificed it all for you. Kuriyama, Werex, 131 below the damage threshold. Actively taking damage to Surge as well, even though Vexy and Power are positioned right below. They want to try to look into the distance to try to get their damage first before they risk it all in that close box range fight. They do have a lot of heals, so they have some time to attempt to out heal it and look for the damage, but eventually that time is going to run out.
131 below. Pressure's on. 66 players still up here in this 6th zone. Has to drop down to 50. Lot need to be eliminated, which means they just need to get that damage at this point. How long can they out heal for?
Yeah, so it's going to put them in such a tricky spot, because right now they're making that tough decision. It does need to go down to, I believe, about 60 players. So there's only 4 more that do need to go down in this zone. So it is so close, but you can see a lot of their heals gone out of their inventory. Last of the Flowberry Fizz is going to be out. They do have a Legendary Banana as well. But after that, they're going to have to look for some sort of impact elimination. And I will say the blessing for them in that situation is they are in the back of zone. They all have a chance with teams rotating in, but somebody comes through in a flank. Great shot going to be fired. Storm Surge still doing damage as well. He's just getting doubled up by the damage, doubled up by the player. Gets the Legendary Banana off in time, but Storm Surge yet again taking him down. Finally, that player is going to go down, get eliminated, but he got no damage off of that fight. He goes down to Storm Surge, and now his teammate is feeling that same pain.
Neither player eliminated each other there. Storm Surge took them both out with a double elim. Oryx now left alone as Kurama has been taken out. Storm Surge, you can see how brutal it is for all of these players, trying to not only make it in zone, but also do enough damage as Paharo Vexy. One of the duos standing here. Good news is they have the Chug Splash, the Flowberry. They can recuperate that shield and maybe even pick up an elimination here.
Yeah, nobody could stop anymore. This is a 5-tick. You don't have enough splashes to out heal this if you stop and try to stagger. Uh-oh, that might have been it. That might have been the move that costed them everything. 29 HP on the 5-tick. They're trying to make it towards the zone, but it looks like Perhao is going to run out of time. Vexy has to abandon his teammate, play the rest of this one out as a solo.
And the duos know it. They've arrived late. They know Vexy cannot be too healthy. Will he actually be able? No, Pahara! Almost got. One floor missing though. Slipped down. He's done for.
Oh, but he's at least gonna fall for the loot. He's at least gonna fall for the loot. Much needed builds. Saw them kind of running out a lot of the resources that had up until this point, but Storm Surge yet again, it just deactivated to turn right back on him one more time with 11 players this time need to go down. So Vexy, the blessing that he can hang his hat on is the fact that he at least got the damage needed for Storm Surge.
What a tragic ending though. That was definitely avoidable with a little bit more builds, but for how long? Close to zone. Now it's just do as much damage as possible. You can see the DMR though getting put to good use here. From 96 below to 6 above. Still 3 legendary bananas as well. Missing a bit of shields, as you can see. Comeback. Nothing to work with, basically. As shots continue to get landed now, banana's going to be used.
Yeah, just a tough situation because even though their build's looking kind of healthy, and you see they're down below on Surge, they don't have heals, so out healing this isn't necessarily going to be an option for them. They have to try to get the shots that they need. They spot a team, Voltiax and Psycho, just trying to rotate on over. They're getting distracted by Andalix and Sado, and this is going to be their best opportunity to try to sneak some shots through, but building in full metal, I don't think that's going to be a possibility.
They need to, though. There's not a lot of options here, Jacob. So many players are getting knocked down and eliminated, down to just 45 already, as Blaha forced to go back to their box here. With no shields to tank this Storm Surge and just being 5 above, they need to keep hunting for those tags.
It's just barely anything. Luckily for them, players are going to go down. It is going to turn off momentarily, though, because in the next zone, we'll need an additional 4 players to go down. So in the back of their minds, a lot of these players know it's kind of a mirage in the desert. It's only a feeling of comfortability, but not actually is with Storm Surge turning off briefly. See Sazy. 68 above the damage threshold. And unfortunate for Kiro, he was getting damaged by Storm Surge. All it took was just a quick sneeze to take down his opponent.
Thomas HD Queasy. I was going to say some good words, but I got scared for a moment as Thomas gets cracked. Dropped down to 77 HP, though. Good news. Shieldfish, Chug Splashes, Minis. They've got a good position here, too. Not too many players in front of them. Hopefully they can make it into zone with just tanking a little bit.
I mean, they're in a much better spot than they were in some of these other games, considering the zone. Over towards Snooty's steps as they find their way up the mountain, quickly targeted for a second, but nothing that Thomas and Queasy can't handle. And with the zone moving in this direction, there's really not too many people towards the south side of the zone. So depending on where the next pull, if they get the next zone priority, Queasy and Thomas could be the front runners on the low ground.
That could be huge. You can see they're playing incredibly passive here. From the mid-game rotations to even the late game. Issue is zone has pulled away from them. Malibuca Merstach, though. Quick cleanup. 3 elims on the board now. Look at this loadout. Look at the loot, Jacob. I don't know if I want to foreshadow anything here, but this could be a huge match for Merstach and Malibuca.
Yeah, especially since they do have that dash medallion. The zone is going to move upward for a lot of the teams. They're already on that congested side. For ones that do have a little bit of a far pull, Malibuca Merstach kind of mirroring a similar rotation on the other side of the map that Queasy and Thomas are going to have to do, but it's just going to be much easier for them. Pop the Flowberry Fizz, use your medallion dashes just to try to get there, and you see they're staying away from that ultimate low ground, just trying to create space for themselves and ahead of zone before they finally drop down.
Ideal position to be in, but for players like Snazy, who's left as a solo, just 10 builds to work with, surviving is what is on his mind here. 6 below, just a couple tags is needed. Has the Flowberry to grant that momentum boost to keep on rotating, but he cannot stay ahead as comfortably as Merstach and Malibuca.
And luckily, I think somebody got taken down, so he quickly moved up the damage threshold, but as soon as he tries to move into the builds, he almost gets taken down, but a quick turn and burn for Snazy. Unfortunately, he doesn't get any HP, but he gets shields, he gets some materials, so he can definitely keep moving forward, but we're going up the mountain Takata. If players don't plan ahead, exactly that will happen. The end of the road will come.
That's true. Up top. Now my question is, with the dashes from Merstach Malibuca, are they going to go second height? Is Queasy Thomas going to go second? Are they going to look up? Are they going to try and make something happen here? As shots come through now, just 4 builds. Not too comfortable in terms of holding high ground here. They need to find a refresh.
Yeah, I don't think anybody can realistically hold high ground at this stage in the game that is up here. Everybody else looking down low. They're going to slide down the mountain here in a few minutes, so the hardest part of going up is already over. And Pyros and Destru are using the terrain to their advantage, knowing that very few teams can look up at this stage in the game, even though they have no builds.
Flowberry choosing to go right down to ultimate low ground. A lot of players will be dropping here, though. Potential for a couple eliminations as Thomas and Queasy still together, still healthy. Not too many shields or builds left over, but they're strong enough to make something happen here.
Definitely like one of the best games they've had in the semifinals so far. Baja goes down. Comback now left by himself. 9 total teams left alive. Comback being one of few solos left in the game. Forced to stagger himself and take damage with the storm. He has no heals to out-heal it, so time is ticking to Frizzy Howley, trying to make that same rotation over, but Combat quickly moving in and up these builds to try to find a safe spot, but he finally gets denied. The end of the road comes at the top of that mountain, and Combat has to figure out the plan B.
It's all duos around him. Gets a shot in, but it's not enough. Merstach has now overthrown high ground, it seems. Can he stay ahead, though? 5 builds, taking shots back. So many players stuck in zone here. All he has to do is apply that pressure from above.
The zone pulls back. Merstach trying to get the revive onto Malibuca. Best case scenario here with only duos left alive on that low ground. And now it's a full 3-team battle royal to try to close it out. Returning the favor from the last major where Malibuca, historic run to reboot Merstach in late game and win the game. And now he is on a terror. 10 eliminations and it's down to a 2v2.
Double digits for Merstach and Malibuca. They want to take it home already from the pressure above. 30 HP is all he has. Making use of that Shade of Hades, though. It's a 2v2.
They're just trying to grab him, pull him out of the safety into the zone. Merstach trying to drop down, playing Disruptor. Just outside of the box, thinking from the major one chance, but down goes Malibuca, trying to use the Chain of Hades. They bought their ticket on the train. Sado goes down. Malibuca goes up. 12 eliminations and a grand final spot on the horizon with that big win.
Sent to the underworld, Merstach and Malibuca starting off strong in day 3 of the semifinals. It's not a direct ticket to the grand finals like it was in day 1 and 2, but with that amount of points, Jacob, we can basically say that they've made it.
They may have taken some time from Grim Gates, faced it adversity through and through, and even at one point, their contested average placement versus their uncontested average placement was night and day, but they're the major one champs. They just wanted extra practice. If you doubted them, I don't even know what to say because they are back on top.
Where was this day 1? Where was this day 2? I think you were right, Jacob. They were like, you know what? Let's just practice a little more. You know, we got 3 days of semifinals. Let's have a bit of fun day 1. Practice the drop spot. Practice the third parties. Game 1 of day 3 on top with the VR. It's what you love to see.
Yeah, and who would have thought? Who would have thought? For months, I'm hoping for a train ending in these finals. We finally get it. You see the train almost took down Sado. He might be a Malibuca and Merstach fanboy after that one, but their presence has been known. But got to give it up to Analex and Sado, a huge second place. But this being the name of consistency and the name of the leaderboard, I'm going to throw it on over to our analyst to break down game 1.